For the first time in 34 years, busloads of excited Iraqi soccer fans rolled over the border into Kuwait for a World Cup qualifier on Tuesday. They haven't been allowed at the neighbouring country's events since former Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein invaded the emirate in 1990.
I can't describe how I feel. I haven't seen Kuwait in more than 30 years. Kuwait is close to us. There were wars and problems, but God willing, the situation will get better and better.
A match between brothers, God willing, and I hope that the legacy of the previous regime dies with this conscious generation, because the world has become a small village, and all people have come to know that the Iraqi people are not to blame for what happened because of Saddam Hussein.
The match takes place at Jabba Al Ahmad International Stadium in Kuwait City, with Iraq leading Group B of the region's qualifying matches for the 2026 World Cup. Iraq has been leveraging soccer diplomacy to mend ties with Arab Gulf states after decades of conflict. The country ended its most recent war against Islamic State at the end of 2017. It hosted the Gulf Cup in its oil port city of Basra last year for the first time since 1979, a milestone in regional reintegration. Yusuf Fal, spokesperson for the Iraqi Soccer Federation, said he hopes the rivalry, once considered the Arab world's greatest, stays on the pitch. It's a sporting competition. We should not insert politics into this, Fal said, adding that it's unfair to involve the young players, whether Iraqi or Kuwaiti, in old conflicts they were not a part of. This generation cannot pay the price of previous generations, he said. Saddam invaded and briefly annexed Kuwait in August 1990 before being ousted by a US-led coalition in the Gulf War. Iraq was then placed under severe sanctions and required to pay over $52 billion in war reparations, completed in 2022. Early on, there were tensions over whether Kuwait would allow Iraqi fans to attend the event, but it was later confirmed that 5,000 supporters could join with specific passport and vehicle requirements. Despite improving relations since Saddam's 2003 ouster, challenges remain, such as issues over maritime borders. Abdulaziz Al-Anjari, founder of Kuwait-based think tank Reconnaissance Research, said Iraq must prove it has the intention to resolve the looming political issues. But he called the match a good initiative, saying it's opened the door to discussions on Kuwaiti-Iraqi relations. For Iraqi soccer fans, getting to see the match is already a win. This man's banner says, "Thank you from Iraq to the Kuwaiti government and people."
Fashion giant Inditex showed signs of bouncing back from a first-half slowdown on Wednesday. The Zara owner reported stronger recent sales of its first autumn-winter collections. It said sales in August and early September saw an 11% boost in constant currency compared with a year ago. That's a brighter signal compared to the first half, where sales growth was almost cut in half compared to a year before, partly due to a wet and cold June in its biggest market, Spain. Still, Inditex reported a 10% rise in first-half profit amid tougher times for fashion retailers in Europe. The world's largest listed fashion retailer posted net income of just under $3.1 billion despite the headwinds, slightly better than analyst forecasts. The company has fought to stay ahead of competitors such as H&M and fast-growing Chinese rival Shein. It's invested in logistics and technology to deliver fashion trends faster and made efforts to minimise price increases on everyday items. Zara hiked prices more slowly than in the past over the second quarter and less than H&M in the US, according to industry data. Among new initiatives, it will roll out its pre-owned clothing app to the US in the coming months, and it will start live shopping broadcasts in key markets following a successful trial in China. Inditex shares were up over 3% after the update.
It was a fiery clash at the ABC News presidential debate Tuesday night.
Wait a minute, I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please.
With Republican Donald Trump and Democrat Kamala Harris both seeking campaign-altering moments in their closely fought election. It was a combative back-and-forth clash over immigration, foreign policy, and healthcare, but the debate was light on specific policy details, with Trump seemingly on the defensive as Harris peppered him with jabs about his fitness for office. At one point, she goaded him, saying audiences at his rallies often left out of boredom. Trump, who has been frustrated over the size of Harris's own crowds, fired back.
We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics.
Before pivoting into a false claim about immigrants eating pets in Springfield, Illinois, that was seized on by thousands of social media posts.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame.
You talk about extreme.
There's less than 8 weeks to go before the election and only days until early voting starts in some states. That made this one of the best chances for the candidates to state their case to tens of millions of voters. It was especially important for Harris, as opinion polls show more than a quarter of likely voters feel they do not know enough about her. She entered the race only 7 weeks ago after President Joe Biden's exit. As questions veered toward policy approaches, Harris served up a lengthy attack on abortion limits, a key election issue. Since the US Supreme Court overturned abortion rights in 2022, statewide bans on abortion have proliferated. Women have been denied emergency care, and victims of incest were unable to terminate their pregnancies.
Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime of violation to their body does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral.
However, Trump claimed he believed in exceptions for abortion, a position he compared to President Ronald Reagan. Harris also claimed Trump would support a national ban, an assertion Trump called a lie, while declining to say explicitly that he would veto such a law. The pair clashed over Harris's racial identity at one point, after an event moderator asked Trump about an event in July when he told black journalists Harris had recently, quote, become a black person.
Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words, so I'm
asking...
asking...
I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people.
The two candidates are effectively tied in the 7 battleground states likely to decide the election, according to polling averages compiled by the New York Times. During the debate, online prediction market predicted 2024 presidential general election market showed Trump's likelihood for victory dropping to 47% from 52%. Harris's odds improved to 55% from 53%. In a boost to the Harris campaign, pop megastar Taylor Swift told her 283 million followers on Instagram immediately after the debate that she would back Vice President Harris and her running mate Tim Walz in the November 5th election. She signed it Childless Cat Lady, a reference to controversial remarks made by Trump's running mate J.D. Vance.
Floods in northeastern Nigeria have killed more than 80% of animals in a large zoo, the facility said on Tuesday. Deadly animals such as crocodiles and snakes have also been washed into the community. The Sanda Kyarimi Park Zoo in Borno State added. It urged residents to take precautions. The zoo, which housed an array of wildlife including lions, buffalo and ostriches, was submerged in floods that began when a dam overflowed following heavy rains. Thousands of people have been uprooted. This woman said her daughter is in hospital and that the only thing she has been left with is the clothes she is currently wearing. The disaster has affected other facilities in the state capital Maiduguri, including the post office and a teaching hospital. Nigerian President Bola Tinubu's office said, telling people to evacuate the worst hit areas. Floods in the northeast last month killed at least 49 people, while one in 2022 killed over 600.
Bridging the worlds of high fashion and space exploration, French fashion house Pierre Cardin has designed an astronaut training suit set to be used at the European Space Agency's center in Cologne. The prototype was unveiled at Pierre Cardin's workshop in Paris on Monday and tried on by German astronaut Matthias Maurer.
You can tell the difference if it was just made by engineers or if there's also somebody who knows how to work the textile. So the original spacesuits that I've worn so far, I always had pressure points, a lot of pressure points, and now it feels very nice inside.
The CEO of Pierre Cardin, Rodrigo Basilicati Cardin, said designing a suit for astronauts meant his artisans had to develop specific techniques for volume and structure, as they do with ready-to-wear fashion.
Everybody is so happy finally because, after 1 year and a half, two, of this work to arrive here, and it's not finished, but it's a big step here. And for us, it's important to have the answer of the astronaut who say, okay, that's a good way, good direction.
After more tweaks, the suit will be used in Luna, a new moon surface simulation building at the ESA. To create an outfit that could help simulate conditions on the moon, the fashion brand developed fabrics that could resist extreme temperature conditions and at the same time offer comfort and mobility.
A spacesuit is like a small spaceship. It has air system, it has cooling systems, it has radio system, it has navigation system, it has a lot of different equipment. This here is just for training. This is only to be used in Cologne on the ground. But we can learn a lot just training with the suit.
As fashion evolves to meet the challenges of climate change, these innovative features are important, the fashion house says. An engineer as well as a designer, Basilicati Cardin said the spacesuit had already given him ideas for some designs for the next ready-to-wear collection. Pierre Cardin was the first designer to sell clothes collections in department stores in the late 1950s. It was also the first brand to enter the licensing business for perfumes, accessories, and even food, now a major profit driver for many fashion houses.